What is the absolute worst way to die? Occasionally I see news stories about people, often cavers, crawling into very tight spaces and being unable to get out and dying. I have an absolute terror of very tight confinement and am extremely claustrophobic. I'm having to look away from my computer just writing this. If I even think about the possibility of dying, that way I have to get up and pace around the room. Crucifixion. The Romans were masters of torture, so they devised the cross as the ultimate torture punishment. Crucified prisoners would have to hold up their body to avoid being suffocated. It's like being slowly suffocated, but drawn out, so you can physically feel yourself dying sometimes over the course of days. Plus, everyone gets to see your junk and bloody body. Lava. For one, you don't sink. Since it's molten rock, it's more dense than your body. You'd hit the lava, submerge for a second, then pop back up. Meanwhile, your skin would start boiling off, and since your body is 80% water, you'd skid across the top of the lava like a droplet of water, your skin still burning, until eventually you explode in a fantastical flash of guts and blood. Being chained down in a vat of acid that's only just barely strong enough to disintegrate you at an incredibly slow rate. Starvation. It's actually relatively difficult to starve to death, and is in no way a quick end. When faced with starvation, the body will burn through its fat stores for energy. Once that runs out, it will go for the muscle, but, eventually, it's going to run out of options. The extreme lack of vitamins and minerals will likely lead to a severely weakened immune system. It might be this, as opposed to exclusively starvation, that eventually finishes you off as you would have little defense against all kinds of diseases. John Jones explored a series of underground tunnels, but got caught in one. It was too small for him to back out of, and he was trapped there for days, stuck upside down. They were able to get a radio down there, so he communicate with the outside world. A rescue was attempted, but it failed, and his legs got broken in the process. Another attempt would be too risky, and they were forced to leave him there. His body is still there, and the tunnel he's in has since been sealed off. I think being buried alive, running out of air, and trying to escape, only to drown in dirt is the one that scares me the most. Ryan Reynolds did a movie about that called Buried. It was really good, and made it hard for me to breathe safely on my couch. Being stabbed repeatedly by a butter knife. I'd have to say bleeding out. You're just sitting there, in pain, hoping someone can help you, dreading the moment of your death, and then you realize death would at least end the pain you're in, or you just lay there and cry about how there was so much you wanted to do with your life, how you had dreams you wanted to make a reality. You either welcome your death, hope for help, or just wish that you got to live your life to the fullest and look back on every decision you wish you didn't make. It's a combination of both physical and mental pain. Things in my top 10. Chopped up by woodchopper feet first. Killed by crocodile/alligator. Sucked out of an airplane and fall to your death. Mauled by lion/bear/tiger/any big predator who will surely kill you for predatorial purposes. Swarmed by rats or ants and eaten alive. Being broken on the wheel. I think it might even be worse than burning at the stake because of how long it takes. Basically they tied you to a wagon wheel and then smashed all your limbs with sledgehammer and then threaded the mangled wreck through the spokes like some bloody, moaning octopus and hung the wheel up in the public square until you died, which apparently could take days. I would say the Jewish being fed salt water until they die of dehydration and WW2 was pretty bad. Being flayed sounds pretty dismal. They cut your skin away from the circumference of the hips, peel it up over your torso, and then tie the skin off over your head, so you end up suffocating in a bag of your own skin. But while you hang there suffocating they throw salt and acid at the now exposed raw flesh of your body the entire time. I've this recurring fear since I was little. Imagine a long tube that's slightly inclined and closed on one end. It's just wide enough for you to fit. You are put here first into the tube. Your head is slightly below your feet. You cannot move, and it's completely pitch black. The tube is slowly filling up with water. I feel awful just writing this, but after hearing the story I can't get it out of my head. I have a friend whose grandmother died BC. The water heater was set to extremely high temperatures, and when she tried to get out of the shower quickly, she fell and couldn't get up. Her body clogged the drain and she went into shock, laying in scalding hot water. When they pulled her out, her flesh was coming off of her legs. One of the worst parts is, her son, my friend's dad, had just dropped her off and went back into her house. He forgot his wallet. He heard she was in the shower, so he just slipped back out of the house to not startle her. Her family ended up suing the landlord or the company, can't remember tbh, but they ended up receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars. They came to the conclusion that no one's water heater should ever be set that high for any reason. There are lots of particularly nasty diseases out there, but one of the worst I have seen is Lou Gehrig's disease. You are completely lucid, completely cognitively intact, but you slowly lose control of all of your muscles. You lose the ability to move your mouth for speech or swallowing. You cannot swallow your saliva. It either falls out of your mouth or down your throat. The only part of your body that you can control is your eyes. If you're lucky, someone will bring you a large alphabet board and you can look at each letter and spell out words. Some people are lucky and get a fancy eye gaze communication board, but they are somewhat difficult to program and have a learning curve. Your helper has to know how to set it up so that your eyes can be tracked. Eventually, you die because you lose the ability to make your diaphragm work, so you just cannot breathe, but you are conscious the whole time.